Today we're going to talk about our favorite time to hunt deer. But before, I'm about to crack into this truly. I've never had it before. Mango lemonade. What'd you say? We're not what?
We're not egotistical.
Yeah, we got nothing to prove.
Yeah.
We're not being manly men.
Well, what you guys don't know is I'm working out a pro staff deal with Truly. So,
So you have to say you love it, right?
yeah, no matter what. Let's see. It's no Bush Light, but it's pretty good.
They're
That
not
is actually
bad.
really good.
Yeah, they're not bad.
All you need is one of those little like yellow straws that they put in your pina coladas.
It tastes like a Gatorade.
Yeah.
All right, so our favorite time to hunt deer, not turkeys, deer.
Right.
Well, that's because there is no favorite time to hunt turkeys. It's whenever the season's open.
Yeah, exactly, every day. So, for me, I'll start.
Okay.
Yeah, that's tough. I think any time in November is the stereotypical like favorite time to hunt. That's when everybody takes their vacations.
Mm-hmm.
That's when you're probably seeing the most deer. The most unexpected things might happen.
You have deer that you maybe have never seen.
Yeah.
So if you're gonna have a random
Yep.
traveler move in, that's probably when
Or if you're going to see a buck come
Right.
back through that was in a bean field nearby.
Yeah.
That's when it'll be.
the easy answer. But I'm gonna go with late season. These guys are dogging me because the past 2 years I shot little bucks in November. But that wasn't always the case. And there's something about hunting in the snow,
Yep.
especially when you have a food source that I just think's almost as good as the rut. I feel like you can still see a lot of deer, sometimes more.
I think if you have the right spot that time of year, you're in for a good time.
Yeah. How many times, even the last couple of years when I shot my deer, it's like you keep the cameras out, you keep the food out, whatever, and it's like, why did I shoot my deer?
Right.
Not that you regret it, but they become, at least in Ohio, a little bit more patternable. Yeah,
a little
it's
more.
fun
I think
time.
they focus on food a lot more, so they become, like you said, a little more patternable because that's their primary concern at that point in time.
I feel like they let their guard down too. Remember when we were hunting Steve right here on this property?
Yeah.
And you were out with your bow late season.
Yep.
Well, it was gun season, so getting later in the season.
Yep.
Like he was not very daylight active, and then all of a sudden, boom, like comes strolling in. If you would have had your gun, you would have blasted.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, it's such a fun time to hunt, and I think it's interesting too because not a lot of, well, I don't want to say not a lot of people, but not all states get the opportunity, I think, to see what we're lucky to see in Ohio when you're hunting late season. If you got a picked cornfield or a standing bean field.
Yeah, I think a lot of places with deep hardwoods or stuff like that where they don't have to show their faces and they're feeding on woody vegetation,
Yep.
and they're kind of just browsing these hardwoods for the scraps that they can find.
Yeah.
Probably not as eventful as it would be hunting over a cut cornfield or a cut bean
Yeah.
field or something like that.
So we're lucky in Ohio and places like Iowa or Wisconsin. So I think that's probably why I like hunting the late season. But my goal is this year, have this on record.
Yeah, y'all
I'm gonna hold out for a good deer, and then I'll hunt the late season and see what happens.
So do you have a specific deer that you shot in the late season, or like a specific hunt that you're thinking of at all?
Yeah, when we used to hunt our uncles a little bit south of here, we
Why'd you laugh?
It's a doe. It's a doe. That's why I'm laughing. It's just a doe, but it's so fun because I don't know how many deer we see. You know, it's like and with the snow on the ground.
You can see them from a lot further away.
That's the thing. You can see them from a lot further away. And if you dress appropriately, it's not as miserable as it could be. I don't know. There's something about hunting the late season, and I'm not even talking about February or even January, December even, or early January. I think it's just the element of surprise, and you get new deer that are showing up. But I guess I shot a lot of does in the late season. I don't know that I've shot a good buck late in the year.
January 10th, the broken main beam with your muzzleloader.
This is true. That was in the snow, and that was
deep snow, wasn't it? Or
was
not
pretty
really?
deep.
And that deer was grunting and chasing still.
Yeah, the infamous second rut.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
Going after the younger women.
Yeah.
So,
While we're talking about late season, up in the corner here, we'll put a link to the video for the cold weather gear that East and I are going to be wearing this year. We wore it a couple
good
times
stuff.
last year, but we're anxious to put it to the test.
Like Nick said, having decent gear, as long as you can stay warm. You don't even have to have great gear. If you can just stay warm, it makes those cold hunts a lot more fun and more bearable, because I know me personally, I freeze my butt off, especially my hands and my feet. And yeah, that gear we got did a great job. I don't know, I didn't hunt anything too crazy cold, but I know I hit a few days that were in the single digits and stayed pretty warm.
This is going to be a little bit biased as well, but we always think outside of the box. And part of the other reason that I enjoy hunting the late season is not so much even for myself, but later in the year, I seems like I always get out with more people. Like, if I already have my deer, I get to go with you guys and film. And so many of my good memories have been late in the season. Like when I shot my deer a couple of years ago, I got to take my 80-year-old grandpa out deer hunting who hasn't shot a deer in years. And like I remember hunting in the snow with him. We didn't even see a deer one night. But like those are things that if I did hold out, I would still be hunting and being a little bit selfish. But like I've got to, get out with Dad and take Rachel, or go with you guys. So that's why I like later in the year too, because we're not the type of guys that shoot our deer and then hang it up for the year.
Right now,
we shoot our deer and still want to be out there.
Move on to the next person
until the final flag drops. So
you want me to start? Move on down the line, or?
Well, I already started, so yeah. Next.
Well, yeah. So I would say mine for sure would be the last week or maybe the last 2 weeks of October. And I actually have never shot a deer at the tail end of October, but for whatever reason, that's still like when I seem to see a lot of the best deer activity, at least in the farm that I hunt primarily in central Ohio. I know last year I didn't shoot a buck at all, but was probably the best year I've ever had as far as seeing mature bucks. And there was a couple weeks there, or at least probably 10 days, where I had a shooter almost every single day on camera or while I was hunting that I saw for like 10 days straight in daylight, which was absolutely insane. And that probably looks very poorly on me because I never shot one. But
well, in your defense, you were holding out for a giant, and you had deer and opportunities that you passed on that a lot of people probably wouldn't. You weren't like me where you broke down to buck fever and sent one slain. So.
I've gotten in a very bad rut where I just want to shoot something really, really nice, and I'm still in it. So this year's not looking great because I don't even have the deer yet this year. But yeah, so end of October was absolutely on fire for me, and I don't know if that'll be the case this year. This was a property, it was a 20-acre block of timber surrounded on two sides by beans, or I'm sorry, last year it would have been two sides by corn, and then the third side was beans, and then the fourth side's just the continuation of the woods. But I can hunt those two sides that were bordered by corn, and it was absolutely unreal. So this year it's beans. I don't have huge expectations just because there's a couple houses nearby and all that. So
well, that's what's cool about like people's favorite time to hunt, and just like I was just talking to Lane Kleiline, what's up Lane, about this the other night. People's favorite animals to hunt are sometimes influenced by the experiences they had at an early age. And I think people's favorite time to hunt can be, influenced by experience they had. Like, you might hate the late season if you've gone out and froze your butt off and didn't see a deer.
Yep.
But if you've gone out in October when it was standing corn and saw the most bucks you've ever seen, it's probably going to be your favorite time to hunt.
Yeah. And I think, like, looking at it this year, I made that property hunt bigger than it was last year because the corn was up. And so I was able to park. I would say I was parking my car within 150 yards, maybe 200 yards of where my tree stand was at. But there was a huge section of corn in between.
Wall.
Yeah. And there's a house that was even closer to that tree stand than my car even was. So I was going in that corn and basically just slipping in undetected. This year with beans, I don't think that's going to be the case. So I may have to resort to other tactics or other areas to hunt. But I would say that would probably be my number one time, especially, and you can't help but factor in like the weather and just the scenery, everything that goes into it. It's not all about it's not all about seeing big bucks or whatever, shooting big deer. It's just being out there at that time of year is just an incredible experience.
Absolutely. Like those days where you're sitting in the stand and like it's a little bit windy and you just see all the leaves falling. Or you get those like rainy days where like they're just going to be on their feet.
The smell of those leaves on the ground, just those wet leaves.
A little bit of like decay in the air.
Oh,
I changed my mind. My favorite time to hunt is late October.
Too late. Too late.
Yeah. My favorite time to hunt this year is going to be the first day that I can kill a deer because we're out of meat in our freezer. So. But Nick, you hit on it, and Easton, you're talking about the same thing. And I think everyone's favorite time to hunt is one of two things. It's either when Bill Winke says it's the best day to hunt, or it's when you've had the best experiences in the woods.
Yeah.
And for me, that has routinely been year after year since I started hunting the week leading up to and including Thanksgiving. So we've had so many good memories of hunting late November, both with our dad when we were kids, before we could even take weapons to the woods. And then when we first started hunting, and I've seen that's when I've seen the best rutting activity I've ever seen in the woods.
For sure.
Dog and does, like tongues hanging out. So I don't know if that's just because of the properties that we hunt. I mean, all of the research shows that there is a peak breeding phase and that's relatively similar across the country regardless of state. But obviously that changes depending on your doe population and when they come into estrus, and that's pretty routine every year. So I think it makes sense. We probably have a property where the does come into heat a little bit later than most, and therefore we see good rut activity towards the end of November. And again, it's a cool time to be able to get out because most people have some vacation days. You got, the weather is normally good for hunting activity. It's not too cold. It's not too warm.
That's about that time where you can almost expect to see a snow, too. You're getting close to December.
Well, we've had it a couple times.
Right, and that's about that time where you're like looking in the forecast and maybe have the chance of seeing a little bit of snow.
Maybe I'm a little bit of an underdog, too, because that's like your last ditch effort for a rut buck.
Yeah,
so like underdog, that's when you got to get out there and try to fill your tag. And I've killed a deer. What day was that? It was like the 24th.
Day after Thanksgiving, I think, a couple years ago. Yeah.
So it's just a fun time to be out.
And he was hard on a doe.
Yep.
But like kind of like similar to what I said about hunting the late season, getting out with friends and family and creating those memories. Same thing, at least it was for us. We were all home from college. You get like Thanksgiving. It was almost like waking up Thanksgiving morning. It was like somebody's gonna shoot a big deer.
Yeah.
Everyone in the family was out, and then you get to go back. Be with the family for Thanksgiving, swap stories, put video up on the TV.
Yep.
Like that would be a tie or a close second to late season for myself. So yeah, that's definitely a fun time. And we've noticed from trail cameras too, specifically on the property we're standing on, like that time frame, like November 17th through the 25th, like bucks show up. And
ones you've never seen before.
Right. It's so cool to see like year to year different deer, but doing the same things.
Yep.
Just the way they use the terrain and for whatever reason. So that might be a good vacation week this year.
I think a close, maybe not second for you because you just said that'd be your second, but I think the next favorite time for probably all of us would be either opening day or the trip to Kentucky that we've been making every year.
That to me is unbeatable. And that's not even like your anticipation's at an all-time high because you think you're going to see some mega giant.
We don't care.
No, I think that's what it is.
Yeah.
We go down there and like I don't want to sound like the out-of-state guy that goes.
Right.
Because if someone were talking about Ohio, like, oh, we just go there and just tear them up, which we don't do that, but like we do go there with a little bit of a mindset like we're coming home with meat.
Yep.
And that's fun. We're not. By that time of the season, I am stressed out to the max because usually I haven't killed a buck. What time of the year do we go? Like December 13th?
The week or 2 weeks before Christmas.
Okay, yeah. So I think it was like the 13th last year.
Yep.
So by then, like my stress level's at an all-time high. I've gotten stomped into the ground by all these bucks. And so I'm just ready to take out some frustrations, go down there and shoot a deer.
You know what it is? It's like a bachelor party for deer hunting. It's like you've like been all stressed out, then you go down there, you just do whatever you want on this great trip, and then you come back and it's like, man,
back to reality.
I gotta try to fill my tag.
I have standards again.
Yeah.
Insert picture of Nick's deer.
You know what I've learned from this tailgate talk? Our favorite times to hunt are like
the whole season.
The whole season, yeah. Like it's hard. It's so hard to pick a time. I want to be out there every chance I can get, and that's probably everybody.
There's something different about each time of the year. Like opening day, that's just exciting because you're happy to be back in the woods. October, that's when I'm seeing the most deer, and the scenery's awesome. Other people, like, you're seeing bigger bucks. Like there's something special about each time of the year that differentiates it from every other week. Yep. The woods are changing so much.
And if you kill a giant in the late season or you kill a giant opening day, your favorite time of year to hunt, guess what? It's changing.
Yep, absolutely.
So that was a little bit looser of a topic than some of the ones you guys have seen us do. And as you can see, like I just mentioned, we like being out there at all times. So
if you're curious to see any of the content that we've talked about here, because you filmed every single hunt that you had last year. Most of it was in October.
Yep.
The broken main beam buck that we talked about for you will be in the description.
Yep.
The buck that I killed a couple years ago, right around Thanksgiving, we'll put that down in the description too. So you guys can check all those out too if you want to, and relive some of those favorite hunting memories of ours.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's why late October is the best time of year to hunt. Should be for you too.
If you don't have your deer by then, you might as well hang it up.
Don't even get us started on that topic. That's something for another day. The pressure of
We'll see you on the next one.
The ones are actually way better than the old ones.
I'm about to ask if anyone's had them and liked them because I haven't had this.
I think you'll love it. I love those. Yeah. The other ones were okay. Those are way better, in my opinion.